Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. What is focus anyway? Follow one course until success. And that's what we're talking about today. And today I want to just really hit the nails on the head, the hardest stuff that we've already kind of talked about this week, but just to sum it all up and get it all put together in a little nice shiny package for you. And by the way, too, I've been also working, I've got a big research folder with all of my stuff from Full Bloom, and a lot of this all just fits in. Isn't it so wonderful how things dovetail in together? Beautiful. So I want to talk today about how focus, when you are intentionally focused, how that draws out our commitment, how it brings out purposefulness, and how when we are deliberate about it, it sets us up for absolute 100% success. Because when we're focused, we're not all over the place. When we're focused, we're mindful about what's going on. So let's start first of all with the commitment part of it. Commitment creates a willingness. You know, if we don't have commitment, then we don't have much of anything. We need to be committed to something. You know, I've shared with you before that my son, who is here visiting upstairs, and the dogs are going crazy all over the floor. Of course they are. But I've shared with you how he is he's a world-class kayaker. He goes down 100-foot waterfalls. And when he does that, what do you think he's doing? Do you think he's just kind of, maybe committed to doing it, or just a little bit, or whatever? What do you think? His focus is absolutely 100% on. He's committed. He's intentional. He's deliberate. He's purposeful as he goes, because every single solitary move on that river, on those Class 5 rapids, means something. One false move and he's gonna, he turn over or get caught in an eddy or something. Something. It's a dangerous sport. So what do you think focus is all about? Focus is all about staying the course. And there's a commitment there. There's a commitment to doing the sport and doing it on a regular basis so that you get better. Let's overlay that whole thing over into my life and your life, right? When we do this, when we decide that we're going to get better, when we decide that we're going to have a certain type of life, when we commit to that, the focus becomes very, very strong, because there's one thing there. I want a vibrant life, and I'm committed to that. And it's easy to figure out at this point everything that isn't part of that commitment, anything that is aside from that, anything that doesn't fit with that vision, suddenly sticks out like a sore thumb. It just doesn't work. Doritos and having a vibrant life, those two things don't work together. Sitting on the couch all day and not even getting up to even move around, just except to go to the bathroom, does that equate vibrancy? You start to think about things differently. You start to think, yeah, I'm going to get up and I'm going to hydrate. And yes, I'm going to get up and I'm going to move. And yes, strength training. Yes, I'm going to do the things, even if they're difficult. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because I am committed to this vision, this one focus that I have on my life. It changes everything. And the gratitude that we have, that bursts out of it, doesn't it? But commitment creates the willingness. It creates the willingness, because without commitment, we can't see it. Without commitment, we're not willing to go forward. Without commitment, the only thing that we see is all the reasons why not. But when we get committed, everything else drops away, because there's one thing. It's like getting married. You're no longer in the dating pool. There is one person, and you make vows and you do things, and then you work on that relationship and you build a strong marriage. You ever heard that? building a strong marriage, marriages don't just happen, they're built. A good relationship doesn't just happen, it's intentional. And that's what this is all about. With an intentional focus comes the commitment and the willingness to do the work that's required. And it really does make a difference because it gets narrower as you look. It's putting on the binoculars and looking up in the trees and focusing up, and there's that bird. You see it, and you're all about that. It just makes all the difference in the world, and it makes it so much simpler. Because remember, we talked about this before, that when you are all about just one thing, and you're all in, it becomes easier and simpler. Because now you don't have the mental fatigue of should I or shouldn't I? Maybe I should, maybe I can. When you're committed, you're all in. You put a ring on it, girl. You put a ring on it. Sarah said she was a total couch potato, and your first movement was putting her pinkies up. You know what? Absolutely, because that's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. You put your pinkies up and you put the rest of you up with it. My watch tells me it's time to stand, and I'm already 10 minutes ahead of it. And I always close the circle of movement for the day. But I have to take my watch and put it in my socks so that it registers when I do the bike or exercise. Isn't that terrible? And it bugs me that I have to do that. And then I think, why am I competing? Why am I worried about those rings closing? Competitive, I guess. But this is what we do, though, when we're committed. When we're committed, we see things very clearly. We see yes onto this and no onto that. And when I say I'm committed, we're 100% in, and it becomes much simpler. Less mental fatigue, less should I or shouldn't I, less, and this, that, and the other thing. And that's why we quit, because it's hard and it becomes a struggle. It isn't hard when you're committed. It isn't a struggle when you're committed because it's one thing. And that's your focus, right? You see how that all just gels and goes together? I love that so much. And then we go into the place of purposeful. One of the things that I believe with all of my heart, and you've heard me say this 1,000 times, is that we're put here by God on purpose for purpose. At this time, for whatever reason it is. But I do know, and I do believe, that we are here because we're a community and we're tribal and we're familial and all of the rest of it. We love our connection. We do. It's in our DNA. It's part of who we are. We want to be connected with people. And when we see this, that we have this connection with people, what is our tendency? It's to help others. To help others. As we help others, guess what happens? We feel better about ourselves. We feel better about ourselves. Do you know why? Because we're doing God's work. We're hands and feet, of doing work for God. When we're helping others, there's a unique expression that only we get to figure out. That's super fun. Not everybody, is called to do the same thing that you are. We're all called to do different things in this lifetime. All of us. We are called to help one another, and there's an expression and a way for you to do it. That's all yours. Sarah, I know that you're in law practice, right? But you have a certain way in which you do that. I also know that you're a mother, and you have a certain way that you mother. I also know that you're a wife. You have a certain way that you're a spouse. But think about it. If it's on purpose, and at this point in this time in your life, and you're helping these people lawyering, and you're helping these children grow up, and you're helping your husband to be a better man, that's all purpose right there. And that's vibrancy. That's vibrancy. It doesn't mean we have to go out and create like this, extraordinary custom fit whatever. Not at all. You know what it means? It means that whatever you're in right now at the time, you are obligated to do the very best that you can with what you've got, with your talents. And if you're saying to yourself, I just don't know what that means. I don't know what I'm supposed to do or whatever. Then if it means that you're cleaning up after a bunch of little kids and they're, cleaning toilets, and clean that toilet like the best cleansed toilet on the planet. wash their clothes and pray over them as you put every single one of their clothes into that washing machine, that they will grow up and they in turn are going to help others as well. If we are going to live our lives vibrantly and on purpose and for purpose, we understand this. And when we start to understand this, the gratitude is overwhelming. Because what a beautiful thing to be called like this. To be called. You're called by name to do this. What a beautiful, beautiful thing. Not everybody gets the gift of motherhood. Not everybody gets the gift of being a spouse. Not everybody gets these privileges of serving in such a way. The most menial tasks can be the most meaningful tasks if we put our whole heart into them, if we're doing it on purpose, if we're doing it with focus. Do you see where I'm going with all of this? When we look at ourselves and say, look at things, everything's drudgery, everything's awful, everything I'm so put upon and it's so awful. The output that you're going to get, the life that you're going to live, that's not going to be vibrant. That's going to be really sad, bitter, and angry. And it's not going to serve anyone. And in my opinion, it's like thumbing your nose at God. That's how we need to look at it. Yes, all forms of service. There are seasons of service. There are seasons of service. Mine is over with my children. My son comes to the door and he's knocking on the door. I'm thinking, no, just come on in. This is your home. No, it's not. But, it just changes. And as our seasons in our lives change, what is important is that our focus remains. Our focus is purposeful. Our focus is intentional. And our focus is based on the fact that we love much as we were loved much by the God who put us here. That's all. And when we do that and we understand that we're hands and feet, when we do all of these things, everything comes into this one delicious focus, which helps us to become so much better, which helps us to become the beautiful people we're meant to be. Expansive hearts, empathy, love, joy, creativity, intuition, all of it. I mean, and then that connection, your higher self, that's who connects with God. All of it connects, and you can feel it, and you can feel it. You can feel, and you can hold. One of the things that I do when I meditate, sometimes some people they put their hands to center. It's just a centering thing, but I put my hands over my heart, and I put my hands over my heart, and sometimes, I'll have this intention for my meditation of just loving someone up. Sometimes it's Mark. Sometimes it's my team. I do this with, and they don't even know it, but I do it with my team. It's with you. I have put my hands on my heart and it's time to love up. I believe that when we love up, that it never comes back. The more love you can put out there, the bigger your beautiful self grows. You can feel it. Put your hands over your heart. So purposefulness, I believe, answers the call from God himself to be his hands and feet. Absolutely. There it is right there, Sarah. Perfect. Yeah, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms, which is absolutely true. This is what it means to be hands and feet. This is what it means so that we can love in such great and glorious way. And then the last part is being deliberate. Because when we're deliberate, it brings us to this place of absolute purpose, clarity. It's this because ofness that we go full circle with our focus. When we're deliberate, deliberately loving, deliberately doing, deliberately saying something to someone who just needs a little pearl, a little nugget thrown at them. I think back and I think about the times in my life where I was having a difficult time and somebody said just that one little encouraging thing, or said something sweet and kind, or said, I had somebody just tell me the other day on one of my Peloton boards, Leanne Ely from Saving Dinner, oh my gosh, you saved my dinner way back when, And I'm still using your menus 20 years later. I mean, that just lit me up because I thought, at the time building and doing and working so hard that I did to, to get this business together, that lit me up because I was like, that labor, which it was a labor of love because my mission still is to get families back to the dinner table because I believe we're all so unique and so incredibly blessed to be here that each person sitting around the dinner table is put there on divinely. Each chair is filled divinely by your God and mine who says, I want you here. Peter, you're here. Caroline, you're here. Leanne, you're here. There's your table. How blessed am I when this happens? How blessed are you when this happens? It's all deliberate. And when you, in turn, understand the deliberateness of it all, and your focus becomes extraordinarily deliberate with every move, every action that you have, whether it's for yourself and your self-care, whether it's for others around your dinner table, whether it's for somebody that you're working for, your boss, and you're doing your work as unto the Lord. You've heard that one before. And you're doing everything that you do is deliberate. It's focused. It's on purpose, for purpose. That's vibrancy. That I'm rounding those wagons around. That is vibrancy right there. And how blessed is it that we get to choose and make decisions that this is what we want for our lives. Because when we do that, we decide no more to isolation, right? Am I right, Lucy? No more to isolation. When we make a decision like that, we decide no more to being unfocused on what is important in our lives. We make a decision for vibrancy. And that begins to show up because our choices become extraordinarily focused, extraordinarily deliberate, and extraordinarily purposeful. That's a good life right there, isn't it? That is a good life. That is the life that people are going to look at you and they're going to say, there's something about her. She just walks into the room and lights up the room. Somebody told me that one time, a long time ago. When you walk into the room, Leanne, you light the room up. That's what they told me. And I'll never forget that as long as I live. Ever. Ever. Because it made a difference, especially at that time. I was having a really hard time in my life. And it made me feel like somebody noticed me and loved me. And that's what I say this to you. When I pray, when I meditate, and I bring everybody into my circle because, and I've said this a million times, nobody gets left on my watch. Nobody's left behind on my watch. And if you duck out, I'm going to wonder where you are. So stay connected, stay a part of, stay committed, be deliberate and purposeful with your focus, because where your focus goes, your energy goes, your attention goes, and your life goes. Got that? I love you all deeply. You know that. Peace be with you. See you on Monday.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.